A young married couple moves into a newly built house in a remote town, hoping to start a quiet and happy life together. One night, after going out for a romantic dinner date, they return home to find the house broken into and completely trashed. At first, it looks like a random robbery. But what the wife doesn't know is that the real danger was never the strangers who broke in. It was her own husband. Stay with me, because today we're recapping the 2021 thriller movie, Intrusion. Consider supporting the channel, and now let's get into it. Mira and her husband Henry have just moved into a newly built house in a quiet small town in New Mexico. Henry, an architect who left Boston behind, designed the modern home himself, proud of every detail. They have been married for 12 years but never had children, largely because Mira has been recovering from breast cancer. One evening, while bathing, Mira notices what feels like a new lump and becomes quietly anxious, afraid that her illness may have returned. That same night, the couple goes out for dinner to celebrate their move, deciding to leave their phones at home so they can enjoy a peaceful and romantic evening together. When they return, their mood immediately changes.
You leave the back door open?
No.
The house is in complete disarray, drawers pulled open and rooms clearly searched. Their phones are missing, and it quickly becomes obvious that someone broke in while they were away. They contact the police and soon learn that nothing else was taken except the phones and Henry's laptop, leaving both of them shaken and confused about the intruder's motive. The following day, Mira returns to her job as a youth counselor, still unsettled by the break-in and unable to fully focus. Meanwhile, Henry meets with a police detective who is handling the case. During their conversation, the detective questions why a house of that size has no alarm system installed. Henry casually explains that he never felt it was necessary in such a quiet town.
Make any enemies since you've been here?
I don't think what happened was anything personal.
What about back in Boston? Did you leave any enemies behind there?
None that would fly across the country to break into my home, no.
As they talk, strange clanging noises echo through the pipes, catching the detective's attention. He suggests that Henry call a plumber to check it out. After the detective leaves, Henry immediately takes the advice seriously and installs an advanced security system throughout the house, one that he can control directly from his new phone, giving him complete oversight of the property. Around the same time, Mira goes to her doctor for a medical checkup, still worried about the lump she felt earlier. The doctor examines her and reassures her that it is not cancer, but only scar tissue left over from her previous surgery. Relieved, Mira returns home and tells Henry the good news. Henry is visibly happy and hands her a new phone to replace the one that was stolen. For extra safety, he installs a tracking app on both of their phones so they can always see each other's locations. Later that night, Mira is jolted awake by loud clanging sounds coming from the pipes, and she quickly notices that the power in the house is out. Alarmed, she wakes Henry and asks him to check the generator outside. Henry goes outside and quickly realizes something is very wrong. The generator wires have been deliberately cut, and there are clear footprints in the dirt leading back toward the house. As he looks up, he notices movement and faint light coming from inside the bedroom. He rushes back in and finds Mira tied up on the floor. He frees her immediately, then heads downstairs to confront whoever is in the house. In his office, he spots several people rummaging through his things. Without warning, Henry reaches into a plant pot and pulls out a hidden handgun, stunning Mira, who had no idea he kept a weapon in the house. Before he can react further, one of the intruders attacks him, and chaos erupts as the others rush toward the couple. Henry manages to get Mira onto the balcony and helps her climb down so she can escape and get help. As the intruders break through the door and overpower him, Mira runs to the car. Moments later, she hears gunshots coming from inside the house and freezes, not knowing who has been hit. Shortly after, a wounded man staggers outside, begging for help, but Henry follows him out and shoots him dead from behind. Mira is left in complete shock, unable to process what she has just witnessed. The following day, the tension between her and Henry explodes into an argument while they sit at a cafe. Mira is furious that Henry kept a gun hidden in the house without ever telling her. Henry apologizes and insists that the weapon saved their lives, though he explains that the police have now confiscated it. Not long after, a police detective visits them at home to go over the case in more detail. He shows them profiles of the intruders, explaining that they all came from a poor area across town known as Eagle Point, a rundown caravan park. The police still do not know the motive behind the break-in. The detective also reveals that one of the intruders, Dylan Cobb, survived the shooting and is currently in a coma in the intensive care unit at St. Mary's Hospital. He adds that there is a related missing person case involving a young girl named Christine Cobb, who is a relative of Dylan. If Dylan does not recover, the chances of finding Christine may be lost forever. That evening, Henry tells Mira that he is heading to the town to pick up a few supplies. In his rush, he forgets his wallet. When Mira notices, she tries calling him, but he does not answer his phone. Worried, she decides to drive after him to return the wallet. As she follows his car, she realizes something is wrong. Instead of heading toward the town, Henry turns in the direction of St. Mary's Hospital. The discovery distracts her, and she nearly crashes into another vehicle. Shaken, Mira turns back and later returns home, where she finds Henry already there. She tells him she had a minor accident and that her car is now in the shop for repairs. Curious and uneasy, she asks why his car was heading toward the hospital instead of the store. Henry calmly claims that he took a wrong turn and simply passed the hospital while correcting his route. The next morning, Mira goes to work but continues to struggle with the trauma from the break-in, often imagining things that are not really there. As she prepares to leave the office, a detective approaches her and tells her she no longer needs to worry. Dylan, the surviving intruder, has died in the hospital. The news immediately unsettles Mira, since Dylan's death happened on the same night Henry was seen driving toward the hospital.
Wasn't he in the ICU or something?
And showing signs of improvement.
When did he die?
Sunday night.
Mira uses Henry's car and checks the GPS history. She discovers a recent address logged in the system and follows it. The location leads her to Eagle Point, the same impoverished area where the intruders lived. She tracks down the house where they once stayed and carefully steps inside. The place is abandoned and in terrible condition. While searching, she finds a letter with Dylan Cobb's name on it and a key nearby. She also comes across an envelope from a construction project connected to her and Henry, which she quietly takes with her. Outside the house, Mira notices a nearby mail drop-off area and decides to investigate further using the key she found. She opens the Cobb family mailbox and discovers a package inside containing a handycam addressed to the police. As she is examining it, a strange man suddenly approaches her and claims he recognizes her car, insisting he has seen it in the area before, even though Mira knows she has never been there. Alarmed, she tries to leave, but the man aggressively snatches the handycam from her, accusing her of recording him. He smashes the device on the ground and warns her never to return to Eagle Point. Shaken, Mira drives home and attempts to recover the footage from the damaged handycam, but the files are corrupted and unreadable. Realizing she may still need whatever was on it, she orders the same model online to replace it. Later, she goes into Henry's office and compares the envelope she took from Dylan's house with their construction documents. She realizes the envelope is linked directly to their own home project. Growing more suspicious, she searches the office more thoroughly and discovers a flash drive containing photos taken during the construction of their house. As Mira looks through the photos on the flash drive, she is stunned to recognize Dylan among the workers who helped build their house. While she is still examining the images, Henry suddenly returns home with her repaired car. He notices that the light in his office is on and heads toward it. Hearing him, Mira quickly leaves the room. When she sees Henry, she pretends she was about to vacuum his office. Later, Henry finds Mira's phone inside the office and notices that a GPS tracking app is open, showing his recent movements. He tells her that he has been tracking her phone as well and is surprised to see that she visited Eagle Point earlier that day. Mira stays calm and lies, saying she just went out to clear her head. Henry appears to accept her explanation. That night, after dinner, they go to bed. Once Henry falls asleep, Mira quietly gets up and checks the flash drive again. As she scrolls through the photos, the familiar clanging noise echoes through the pipes, but she keeps going. Then she sees it, a photo of Dylan standing beside his missing daughter, Christine. The next day, Mira drives to the police station with the flash drive, planning to hand it over to the detective. Just as she is about to step out of her car, she notices the same strange man who destroyed the handycam being arrested nearby. The sight rattles her, and at the last moment, she decides not to give the flash drive to the police. Later, unable to hold in her doubts any longer, Mira confronts Henry and admits that she knows about Dylan and his connection to the house. Henry finally opens up and explains that during the construction of the home, he ran into serious financial trouble, made worse by the costs of Mira's cancer treatment. To avoid issues with the IRS, he claimed he was building the house himself, but secretly hired several workers, including Dylan, to complete the job. He says he fired Dylan after catching him physically abusing his daughter, Christine, on the construction site, the same day the photo was taken. After that, Dylan discovered Henry's fraud and began blackmailing him for hush money. When Henry could no longer afford to pay, Dylan turned against him. Henry insists that Dylan used his daughter's disappearance as an excuse to break into their house out of revenge, not to actually find her. Hearing this explanation, Mira finally believes she understands what caused everything and slowly begins to trust Henry again. A few days later, the new handycam Mira ordered is delivered. Feeling calmer now and trusting Henry again, she tries to give it to a colleague at work, but the colleague refuses, so Mira keeps it. That evening, she and Henry host a small housewarming party with close friends. The guests are relaxed and enjoying themselves as music plays and conversations fill the house. While everyone is still there, Mira casually tidies up, wiping down a table as the television plays quietly in the background. A news report suddenly catches her attention. It reveals that the strange man who threatened her at Eagle Point had no connection to Dylan or to the missing girl at all. The realization hits her immediately. Without drawing attention to herself, Mira quietly removes the flash drive data from the damaged camcorder and transfers it onto the new one. When she finally watches the recording, Dylan explains that he never broke into the house for revenge. His real reason was to find his missing daughter. He describes how Christine once visited Henry's construction site and how the way Henry looked at her made him uneasy. After Christine disappeared, Dylan became convinced Henry was responsible. He also explains that he broke into the house twice, including the first night when Henry and Mira went out for dinner, and that he brought his dog with him. The dog barked wildly in Henry's office, making Dylan believe something was hidden there. As soon as Mira finishes watching the recording, she quietly excuses herself and heads straight to Henry's office while the guests are still upstairs. Remembering Dylan's words, she studies the house plans and notices something that was never shown to her before. One section of the layout does not match the rest of the structure. She begins carefully examining the walls until she finds a concealed button hidden behind a box. When she presses it, a section of the wall slides open, revealing a hidden doorway. Mira steps inside and slowly descends a narrow staircase leading underground. At the bottom, she switches on the light and freezes in horror. In the basement, a young woman is chained to a pipe, unconscious. It is Christine, Dylan's missing daughter. In that moment, Mira finally understands that the clanging noises she has been hearing in the house all along were caused by Christine struggling against her chains. Christine begins to stir and slowly regains consciousness. When she sees Mira, she panics and starts screaming. Mira rushes to her and desperately tries to calm her down, whispering for her to stay quiet so Henry will not hear them. As Mira stands frozen in the basement, Henry suddenly appears behind her, blocking the only way out. She instinctively reaches for her phone to call the police, but Henry lunges forward and knocks it from her hand before overpowering her. He restrains her and ties her up beside Christine. With no urgency in his voice, Henry finally reveals the truth. He admits that he has always felt violent, uncontrollable urges and that he built the house specifically to act on them. The hidden rooms, the soundproofing, and the layout were all designed so he could kidnap women and kill them without ever being discovered. In that moment, Mira realizes that Christine was never the first and would not have been the last. After calmly explaining himself, Henry leaves the basement and goes back upstairs, telling the guests that his wife has had too much to drink and has gone to bed, successfully sending them all home. Left alone in the basement, Mira refuses to give up. She struggles against the ropes until she finally manages to free herself. She quickly unties Christine and helps her to her feet. The two try to escape, but Henry soon returns and realizes the room is empty. Mira and Christine hide under the stairs and manage to slip past him, but Henry spots them and nearly grabs Christine. Mira slams the door shut just in time, trapping Henry's hand. Enraged, Henry pulls out his phone and remotely locks every door in the house. As Mira and Christine run through the house looking for a way out, Henry hunts them down. He eventually catches up to them and violently throws Mira into a cabinet, knocking her unconscious. With Mira down, Henry drags Christine back to the basement, fully intending to kill her. Mira eventually regains consciousness and realizes Christine is gone. Fighting through the pain, she grabs a small clock from nearby and rushes back toward the basement. She arrives just as Henry is about to strike Christine. Summoning all her strength, Mira swings the clock and smashes it against Henry's head. The blow causes him to convulse and collapse, killing him instantly. With Henry finally dead, Mira frees Christine, and the two of them escape the house together. In the aftermath, the house is left empty. Mira is later seen packing up her belongings and putting the house up for sale, leaving the place behind for good. Well, that's the end of this recap. How did you like this film? Let me know in the comments below.